gloves are coming off, and that cold weather won't stop the tennis team. As I always say, run for that favorite spot as we get ready to tee this one off. Smiles all around as we show you all the best. Sports Night is next.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sports Night. I'm Joe Young.
And I'm Howie Shapiro. And Joe, we have a jam-packed show. We're going to have to fly through this one.
We do. Maybe not quite as full as last
week.
But
close.
We had a few more preview pieces. But we do have a couple of previews to talk about. We're going to introduce you to the two track teams and a lot of other stuff going on as everybody finally getting fully into the spring season. We start with the baseball team. They started last week with an extra innings win over Buffalo. We talked about that last week. And they were hoping they could carry some of that momentum into Thursday's game against Osseo. The Orioles were coming off their first loss of the season, falling 4-1 to Elk River the day before, so they were looking to bounce back as well. Both teams were at 2-1 early in the season and trying to keep pace with the conference leaders. Cardinals start the scoring in the top of the first. Danny Scheller with a little blooper in the infield, but the shortstop overruns it. That allows Scheller to reach, and it allows Jared Fearing to score the first run of the game. But the lead was short-lived. The Orioles scored 2 at the bottom of the first and add to their lead in the middle innings. This pitch down and out. Gets away from Kopp. Osseo's runner comes sliding in just before the tag from Logan Ness. And the home team is up 4-1 at that point. They add to the lead in the fifth. Huge double down the line in left. Allows another run to score. Osseo pushes the lead to 5 runs. Cardinals can never quite complete a comeback, but they give it an effort. 3-2 pitch with 2 outs in the sixth. Danny Scheller squeaks it down the line. Fearing will score again. Scheller with a hustle double, but Osseo holds on for the 6-3 win. And they.
It's a tough one.
A little bit up and down. As we talked about last week, it's the inconsistency that's got to get figured out for this team.
Yeah, and they're giving up a lot of runs, probably obviously more runs than Coach Massey would like to see. They're hitting the ball. They're just, I think their pitching right now is not giving up the kind of protection they need.
Well. You kind of teased what happened on Saturday. I stopped by the field on Saturday when they were hosting Totino, and this one just got ugly. The 13-10. I've sent you the numbers, Shapiro. I think it was 16 walks between or 16 walks for one team and 10 for the other. Like 26 walks in the game, like 7 wild pitches between the two teams. Just the numbers were ugly. The Cardinals started up 4-0 after the first inning, but then they were down 10-5, made a couple of efforts to try and come back, end up losing 13-10. You talk about pitching not getting it done and giving up too many runs. 13 is way too many. You're not going to win a lot of baseball games when you give up 13 runs.
No.
Cardinals host Anoka on Tuesday. They're at Armstrong on Thursday, and then they will host Duluth East on Friday. So a busy week for them. The softball team only had one game on the schedule last week. It was on Tuesday, and it was postponed because of the weather. So they got the week off. This week, though, they'll make up for it.
They certainly will.
They host Anoka on Tuesday. And Howie,
we'll be there.
They are at Armstrong on Thursday, and then they head north for the weekend. They're at Duluth East on Friday and at Duluth-Denfeld on Wednesday.
Should be so good. Looking forward to seeing the softball team.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, the Cardinals tennis team returned to the court on Friday, traveling to take on the Park Center Pirates. They hadn't competed in nearly a week due to a postponement earlier in the week. They needed to also be up to speed quickly because this was the first of 4 matches for the Cardinals in 24 hours. Well, the weather wasn't ideal. It was cold, it was windy, so jackets, hoodies, and stocking caps were the dress for the day. Cooper Held got the Cardinals in a quick win in the first. Both the competitors were shivering, though, throughout the match, but Cooper cruises to a 6-0-6-0 win. Ryder Held was on the next court, facing Carter O'Rourke at second singles. Goes a little longer, but Ryder is dominant in this one as well, winning easily 6-1, 6-1. The lefty, Austin Hacker, continues a strong start to the season. He takes care of business quickly at third singles against Park Center, also posting a 6-0-6-0 win. Clearly, the Cardinals were stronger throughout the order. Will Wagner's not slowing the roll. He blows through his guy, 6-0, 6-0 at fourth singles.
Get that guy a red jacket.
I know, I like that. Similar stories on the doubles court. Blake DeGroat teamed up with Nicholas Hersamaki at first doubles, and they blow past the Pyro duo by a score of 6-0, 6-1. Closest match of the day is Cardinals still win in second doubles. They still won in straight sets, 6-1, 6-3. That was Nathan Heverin and Adam Ludke. Kyron McCarthy and Lachlan Demmer finish it with another 6-0, 6-0 win at their doubles. Cardinals are going to sweep up on the Pirates. 7-0 was the final score. Nice one for them.
Yeah, they looked downright miserable out there.
It's
not
not fun.
Wearing face masks. And, I mean, but you know, when you have tennis and it's dry, you can play on the court. They're going to get out there and do it because they've already compacted their schedule a little bit, and they try and jam so much into such a short time frame as it is. They're going to be busy again this week. The next couple of weeks are just jam-packed. On Saturday, they hosted a round robin, and it started with a 4-3 loss to Irondale, but they bounced back with a couple of wins, first beating St. Francis by a 6-1 score, and then beating Hopkins 4-3. In the Hopkins match, all 4 singles won, all 3 doubles teams lost, and it came down to the end, and I don't remember if it was I think it was Ryder Held was the last one on the court, and Coach Stork said, "It's up to you. You got to get it done for us." And he said, "I got you, Coach." Yep. He went out there and he got it. So
nice win.
Really nice to see. And Cooper Held took one set off, so that's why you saw a couple of those guys, Hacker and Ryder Held, that were they moved up from second, third to first and second for that middle match against St. Francis. Gave Cooper a little bit of a break, but great to see them having some success. As I mentioned, they're busy this week. They host Centennial Tuesday. They're at Anoka Wednesday. They host Osseo on Thursday, and then they've got another 4-team tournament at the Pivot Courts on Saturday. So they'll, what's that? 1, 2, 3. That's 6. They'll have 6 matches this week before we sit here again.
Well, and we'll be there Thursday, by the way.
And yes, we will, weather permitting, of course. Track and field teams had their first scored event of the season last week, competing at the Osseo Invite on Thursday. It was a 12-team tournament featuring some of the top teams from the conference and some other notables from around the Metro. It would be a good baseline for both Cardinals squads to see how they stack up at the start. We only have a couple of highlights from the meet, and none brighter than this. Senior Nibel Jock running away with the win in the 110-meter hurdles. She was also second in the 300-meter. She's one of the early favorites in the section in both distances. Boys got a relay team to state last 2 years in a row, and they have high hopes they'll do it again this season across the board. This is the 4x2. Jerry Freeman gets them a great start. Jarrett Moore handles the second leg, and you can see how tight the race is as he hands it off to Lance Hill. Kaijon Cummings-Coleman with a great effort at the end to close the gap, but they'll finish second in 1:33.41. Last highlight we have is the 400. Captain Jerry Freeman in the blocks again, and he's in another tight battle all the way to the finish. Freeman finishes third, just 4/100ths of a second out of second place. Boys had a really strong meet with a lot of top 10 finishes. Got to look at some of the other guys and gals that were up top on the leaderboard. Kaijon won the 200-meter dash in a time of 23.67. Jatosa, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, was 5th place in the 300-meter hurdles. Moore was 7th in the 300-meter hurdles. 4x4 relay team was 2nd place. Throwers are doing good. Jumpers are doing well. Kaijon, it was 3rd place in the long jump. Barker was 2nd in the pole vault. CJ Alder was 2nd in the high jump. And Al Neapan was 5th place in the triple jump. So on the girls' side, not quite as many top 10 finishes. As a team, the boys finished 3rd, the girls finished 10th. But Solange Barkon is one of their top sprinters. She's coming back. She had a great year last year. Looks to be their top sprinter. Nibel Jock, that is the big one. We talked about her in the video. Remember that Martinson went to state the last 3 years in the hurdles for the Cardinals. Also was a state qualifier in the pole vault. So big shoes to fill there. But Nibel Jock really did well in Martinson's absence early last season when she was recovering from an injury. So look for her to do big things. some 11th, 10th place finishes around the field and in the pits. A 4th place finish for the 4x100 relay team. But as we talked about, a good baseline place to start for both those squads.
There's a lot of good athletes on both the boys and girls track teams, so it's fun to see. Those boys they're chock full of good athletes.
They are, and the numbers are amazing. We'll get to that in a bit.
Well, the boys team has taken some big strides this past few seasons, and they're looking to keep the momentum moving forward this spring. The Cardinals lost a lot to graduation, but still, they're very confident in the group that they have and their ability to push it to the next level.
We're looking scary, and I like our odds. I'm not really worried about anybody but us, and that's all we're looking forward to.
The Cardinals are coming off their best finish in recent memory, but they believe they're still on the rise. They were second in both the section and true team meets. Now they have their sights set on number 1.
Obviously, last season we lost a lot of guys that helped us get those points for true team. But this year we have a lot of underclassmen coming in. They ran pretty good. They have a lot of talent, and we're going to trust that. And the seniors this year, we're going to help lead them to hopefully run a true team.
The Cardinals had 16 seniors on the roster last spring, including 5 of the 7 guys that went to state. But the veterans, they aren't concerned. They've been impressed by how their younger teammates see the holes as opportunities.
Something that I like for sure right now is that we have a lot of young guys stepping up into the big roles. We had a great senior core last year. Seeing a lot of the young guys being able to step up and us not having to worry about who can fill what, because we know we got guys that do it.
The skill and abilities they see in the underclassmen is reason for optimism. But what makes them really excited is their mental strength, their commitment, and their work ethic.
Since winter, we've been talking about mindset. We're pushing that. We're building, getting better, because we're devoted. We come here on the weekends to get more work in. All the young kids, they want to get on the track.
But trust the process. One meet you're not gonna PR every meet, so you just gotta keep your head strong and put in the work.
The Cardinals have had really solid finishes over the last 2 seasons, and they're hoping this is the group that gets them over the hump to qualify for state as a team. They expect opponents will be ready for them, because teams that overlook them will likely be sorry.
We'll match up very good. They think because we had a strong senior core last year that we might not have the pieces to put together another team, but we got some stuff hidden. And I'm excited to get to those section conference meets so we can show what we can do.
The Cardinals say they'll push to make this a year to remember and try and keep the program on a positive trajectory.
As well as that, I just want to have fun, go out with a bang, leave my legacy here at Coon Rapids.
Excited to see what this group can do. Second place at True Team last year. I think they were 3rd or 4th the year before that.
Third. I think third.
They have that 4x1 relay team has made it to state 2 years in a row. They had, I don't know, half a dozen guys, 7 guys last year total that went, including that group, in 5 different events. Now they've only got 2 of those guys back, but you talked about it. A lot of names that we're familiar with seeing from other sports. A lot of good athletes, and their numbers, talking to the guys, are in the 80s or 90s.
Yeah, and I like the way that piece ended, just the fact that all he wants to do is have fun, and that's really what it's all about. Obviously, you want to win, and you want to compete at your best, but you really want to have fun, and you hear that a lot from these athletes. Winning is good.
Winning is fun, though.
Yes, winning is definitely fun.
And I talk about those numbers. There's about 80, maybe a little more on the boys' side.
Yep.
Over 100 girls on the team this year. So while the story of the girls' team a little bit different, but the Lady Cardinals really could be taking a big step this season. In their second year under Coach Ken Jagasic, the Cardinals are enjoying a surge in popularity, and as they've added a lot of numbers, they've also acquired a fair amount of talent.
But with a total of 102, we're mostly 9th and 10th graders. So a young team, but a group of kids that really like to push and learn. And there's a lot of learning to do, but they're a fun group, great group to coach.
The Cardinals are already seeing a lot of positives this season, and it all starts with the huge numbers allowing everyone a little more flexibility and opportunity.
It's fun. We're getting new experiences. A lot of us are trying things that we haven't did before, like different events. So it's kind of like a learning experience. It's still fun because we're all doing it together.
It's an exciting environment this year. I've been having a lot of fun, just hanging out with the girls.
While they're enjoying each other's company, they're also pushing one another to work harder. With more than 100 girls, it means they're competing every week for the limited varsity spots.
We're definitely getting stronger. I don't know if it's because of the numbers, but the girls are like pushing harder. The coaches have played a big part in that too. So we have more numbers, more different events, and we're basically like pushing each other.
The Cardinals love the competition, but they say it's the camaraderie that really makes this team the place to be.
I enjoy the atmosphere a lot. Like a lot of these girls, like I can tell them things that like I could not tell anyone else. Like I know this is cliche, but like it's like a family.
I think it's really from just people seeing how much of a family track is, and it's just there's different events you can do. There's different people. Like there's an event for everyone. So I think it's really inclusive too.
People may not expect much out of the Cardinals this season. They're very young, and they haven't had a lot of recent success. But the Cardinals are confident in what they have and believe they could surprise a lot of people, even themselves.
I think there's so much potential on this team, and I think people just aren't really aware of it yet. And I think close to the end of the season, people see like, oh, I can do this, oh, I can do that.
As long as they continue to put in the effort, Coach Jagosic is positive they'll reap the rewards. And if they continue to move forward, they'll all be winners at the end.
Improvement. Again, with a young group of kids, we look for improvement and to look for them to learn and understand what it takes to train. And it's been fun working through that.
It should be interesting to see what they're able to accomplish this year, how many of those girls stick around for those 3-4 years of the high school experience, and if they can continue to grow. I mean, keeping triple-digit numbers, and
that's hard to do.
It is, but it's so great to see. And I talked to a lot of the girls. What happened, and Coach Jagosic gave them a lot of credit. He said our senior group, there's a senior leadership group of 8 girls that have done a tremendous job of recruiting. But some of the girls say, a lot of it's just about after COVID, a lot of kids looking for things to do. They found this as just a great place to be, great group to be a part of.
Sure.
And they keep encouraging that, and things will continue to grow. Success will come as they continue to grow and to work hard.
Well, and learn was a huge word that Coach used at the end of that piece as well. Just the fact the younger kids are learning and knowing what it takes to train and do the things they need to do to be successful on this squad.
Well, they have this week off. They're at the Blaine Invitational next Tuesday, and then they will host an invitational on Friday, May the 3rd.
Well, the boys golf team opened its conference schedule last week when they teed off at Norfolk on Thursday. The Cardinals' scores in their first couple of events of the year were encouraging, so they went into the first Northwest Suburban meet with a ton of confidence that they can move up the standings this season. It was cool and windy on the links Thursday afternoon, but all the conference teams were fired up to get a hot start. We opened with Rowan Bresnahan. He struggled a bit on the front, but scored better on the way back in. You don't get much prettier than the pitch coming up right here. Rolls just past the cup. Bresnahan finishes with a score of 95 on the day. Fellow hockey captain Tyler Barsness is up next. He was pretty consistent on the day. He's going to see here, sinks the short putt on his way to an 89. Not where he was hoping to be, but clearly not the weather he was hoping for either. Gavin DeVries going to lead the way for the Cardinals at Norfolk. He had a team, easy for me to say. He had a team best 9 holes with a 2-over on the back 9 and finished with a team low 81. Nice score on the day. Matt Anderson had his struggles throughout the day, but this chip shows some promise for the short game. You just can't park it much closer than that. It's going to be an easy tap in from there, but Anderson finishes with a 102 and won't factor into the team's score. Oscar Berg is a veteran and a guy the Cards expect to be towards the top of their leaderboard, and he's delivering so far. He had a 42 and a 41 North Fork and finishes second with team 83. Noah Law not too far behind. This may not have been the stroke he was looking for, but he makes up for it with a solid mid-range putt. He finishes with an 85 for the day, helping the team finish 10th out of 13 teams with a 338 and just 1 point behind both Anoka and Andover. And if I have to say North Fork one more time, I'll get it right eventually.
I was going to say, maybe we need to do some linguistic warm-ups.
The two of us.
Apparently, my mouth isn't warmed up for this show either.
I love
North Fork. Red leather, yellow leather. But yeah, it was. It's good to see the guys actually, having a bunch of guys near the same spot. They hope to push those numbers back into the 70s, obviously. But, just 1 point behind a couple, and I think they were only like 5 points out of 7th place. So they're within a handful of strokes of being right in the middle of the conference versus a handful of strokes away from being in the cellar.
Correct.
Which is where they had been over the last couple of seasons. So really encouraging start. That's just day one. They're at Baker today, I think. I did not see that it got postponed.
I don't think so. Weather should be all right.
Well, a little cool and rainy.
Cool.
They'd love to have some sun on the golf course. It's so much more fun to play when it's sunny and warm.
I totally agree.
Not have to put the hood up. But they're also going to be at Rush Creek on Thursday. So a couple of Northwest Suburban Conference events this week. Girls golf team also opened the conference schedule last week, hosting Blaine on Thursday. They were supposed to open against Anoka at North Fork on Tuesday, but that was postponed. So they got to start on the gem of Coon Rapids, Bunker Hills, and they would start against their arch rivals, the Bengals. Still, not ideal weather conditions on Thursday, but it was dry, so they were playing. Lily McKenzie leading off for the Cardinals, and she's off to a great start so far this season. Swings from the right side, but putts from the left. I guess whatever works, she puts it home, finishes with a team best 50 for the day. Sophia Meyer is the same group with McKenzie, but she has a little more trouble on the greens, little misses like that contributing to a 60 for her scorecard. Up next, we have Anna Kelly hitting big off the tee, and just check out the touch on the putt coming up right here. She's going to factor into a team score, finishing her round with a 57. Yeah, from the fringe like that, downhill, nice. Get it to slow down and park. Abby Semensky was playing with her against the Bengals, and she's able to roll this one home. So really good efforts on the green. That one's going to hit the pin and drop. Semensky finishes with a 55. The final grouping, and we finally get a true lefty, Allie Hill. It's a player the Cardinals are hoping will push the leaders to continually improve. She had a team-high 63, but look for that number to drop throughout the season and for her to pressure her veteran teammates. Recovery, Caitlin Davis was on the course with her in that grouping on Thursday. Not sure if she felt pressured, but she did put up a solid 57. Cardinals 219 isn't bad, but it's not quite enough to get them the win against the Bengals, who finished with a 203.
Well, not only is golf a tough game mentally, but when you're facing weather issues, especially wind, obviously, it kind of gets into your head a little bit, and I give them a lot of credit.
Yeah, and again, that's their first head-to-head matchup. Remember, boys play conference tournaments every time they take the course with the whole group. Girls play head-to-head against all the different teams. They're at Andover on Tuesday, which means both teams a little battle for supremacy at Bunker Hills, as they both share that as their home course. They will get a Northwest Suburban Conference midseason tournament. That's over at Majestic Hills in Blaine on Thursday.
Not at North Fork?
Not at
North Fork. I don't know why I've had trouble with that one, but we'll get it eventually. Well,
it can be tough to say.
It's tricky. The boys lacrosse team opened its season with 3 road games in the first week, all against conference opponents. After losing to Andover on Monday, the Catbirds were at Goodrich Field on Wednesday, looking for a bounce back against the Tornadoes. Anoka was 1-1 and hoping to have a strong showing in their home opener. That start would be important for both squads, and Spring Lake Park Coon Rapids is aggressive early. Goalkeeper Tommy Scramstad way into the offensive end. Starts a pretty play. And Toby Tramby redirects out front for the goal, but it's unfortunately waved off. Unfortunately, the Tornadoes took the best of the first quarter by storm. Ethan Massman gets it to Charlie Hendrickson with space. He fired it to the 5-hole, up 3-0. Catbirds trying to claw their way back early in the second. Tramby set up on the right side. He's going to fire it far side to get SLPCR on the board. Unfortunately, they couldn't build any momentum. Anoka answers just a couple of minutes later. Mossman getting right to the doorstep, and the Tornadoes are back in front by 3. We're still in the second quarter. Tranby will net another one. They get it to him from behind the net. He'll work his way to the front, wrap it low to the far side. His second of the game, but it's 5-2 at the half. Anoka had the only goal of the third. Mossman again, long run from the right corner. He's going to fire the jump shot past the shoulder of Scramstead. He had a hat trick for the home team. Well, the Catbirds are going to get one back early in the final frame. Trent Burke bullies his way to the doorstep and puts it home. That's as close as they get. SLPCR falls short in a 7-4 loss.
It was a good contest, though,
Yeah,
and I thought they got better each quarter.
Absolutely did.
And that is, I mean, if you can continue to build start to finish throughout the year, you're going to be very dangerous come the end.
Yeah, and I thought so as well. And, you know, you and I did talk about, especially as that game went on, especially in that third, I thought they really picked up a little bit of their momentum. Unfortunately, they couldn't do enough to get the win, but that's a positive thing.
Well, yeah, and the biggest thing is they played much better defensively throughout the game. Later in the game, they did not give Anoka as much room, and they did not allow Anoka to dominate possession quite as much as they did, especially in quarter number 1. On the flip side, in order to build the momentum, you have to possess the ball, and you have to continue to win possessions back. That's something that they'll work on, I'm sure.
Well, it's early.
And, still very early. And, they did get their first win of the season, had to go to overtime to do it, but they beat Totino Grace 10-9 with the extra session on Friday on the road again, and it was Tranby 5 goals, including the overtime game winner. Nolan Hazelwood had a couple of goals, couple of helpers. Brody Herzog chipped in a couple of goals as well, and also I think 14 of 20 on the face-off circle, something like that. So
that's impressive.
And that's the other spot. You know, if you winning possession, maintaining possession, positioning so that when your shots miss and go out of bounds, you're still keeping the ball. All of those things will come for the Catbirds as they move through the season. They get a couple of home games tonight against Rogers and on Wednesday against Centennial. Girls lacrosse team was taking on Champlin on Wednesday last week. It did not at all go the Cardinals' way as they lost to the Rebels by an 18-2 score, falling to 0-2 early on the year. They are actually up in Duluth tonight, taking on the Duluth squad, and then they will be at Centennial on Wednesday.
Got to be a little chilly up in Duluth maybe tonight.
Well, but that's the nature of spring sports.
Absolutely.
And, we do certainly hope the weather turns around for us a little bit over the next couple of days. We're going to be at the softball field on Tuesday, our first chance to see the softball squad in action. And then on Thursday, we will be seeing the boys tennis team as they host the Osseo Orioles. We'll get a look at the boys lacrosse team again next week when they host the Blaine Bengals. But that's going to do it for this edition of CTN Sports Night. We want to thank everybody out there for joining us and continuing to support everything we do here at CTN. But before we go, we want to wish our deepest and most sincere condolences to the family and friends of Lori Parks Taylor. The Coon Rapids community lost a true treasure when Lori passed away last week after suffering a head injury in a fall. Lori was a 1985 graduate of Coon Rapids High School. She is the wife of longtime Coon Rapids teacher and coach J.T. Taylor. All 4 of her children, Blair and Jasmine Townsend and Quincy and Miles Taylor, all had outstanding careers as Cardinal athletes. She was a loving wife, mother, and grandmother who was one of the kindest people you could ever hope to meet. So from all of us at CTN, again, our most sincere and heartfelt condolences.